Okay. Aha. Morning, everybody. Coffee with Mike here, fractional CMO. Having some technical difficulties, but we're okay now. We're doing good. It's a quick introduction. Again, I'm a fractional CMO. I've been a marketing expert, whatever you want to call a marketing consultant. Let's put it that way. It's probably the easiest, which is really what a fractional CMO is, because I work for multiple clients at a time, helping them create marketing strategies that'll actually work and build them either a lead flow or better qualified leads. Been learning about marketing since 2006. It's been a wild ride, been a lot of fun. So today we're talking about how to build a marketing strategy from scratch. And I literally had to print out the whole list. We do it so often we forget ourselves. We don't remember every little bit of it. So you'll see me looking down every once in a while because I want to make sure that I cover it all for you. If you want this list, by all means, go ahead and send me a message. I'm happy to shoot it over to you. It's just a simple doc. Actually, I do have some worksheets that I can also send you for a good portion of these pieces that are on the list that you can use. So if you're more of a visual person, those worksheets will probably work for you as well. I asked this morning, excuse me. I asked this morning what a good, solid definition would be of what a marketing strategy is. And I put it into an analogy and I thought about it, and it's like, it actually comes down to, it's more like a roadmap. For those of you that are younger, maybe a recipe. Tech still uses the term roadmap. Excuse my voice this morning. It's a little crackly, a little rough sleep last night, but we're doing okay this morning. So it's a roadmap that'll help you get to a destination. That destination is usually, again, better lead flow, better traffic, or, depends on what the goals are. And we'll go ahead and go through this. Hopefully I can knock this out in about 20 minutes. Your first step is market research. You got to know if the market really is ready to receive what it is that you're going to bring to it. Probably one of the biggest steps that a lot of people miss before they ever get into a market. Big companies are wise enough to know better. They will literally spend a good chunk of change just to go look at a marketplace. There's a company that I researched and asked them about their market research, and they went digging just in Clark County for prospecting to bring in a few operators, licensed operators for their particular product. I asked them, I said, what did you figure out? What did you find? And they went into it. They got in pretty deep. It's like they figured out that they could probably have about 3,000 operating units out here in Clark County alone. I said, well, that's a lot. I said, where's the numbers to back that? And they showed me, and I was like, okay, you're good. I got you. You guys got it. There are tools and methods for conducting market research. You can look through things like Google Trends, Survey Monkey if you want to survey your marketplace. Of course, you need to have a pretty good following for that one. There are survey companies out there, because I remember coming across one that they have their own audience that you can sample for pay, obviously. But depending on how much you want to invest, you can sample different parts of the U.S. I don't think they're international yet, but you can You can sample portions of the US and get honest feedback after somebody's exposed to something of your brand. You can use Answer the Public. That's another good one. A lot of small business owners and smaller influencers still use that. I take a look at it once in a while. Why not? There's still some good stuff in there. And it does really sample what the questions are, what's being asked. Similar Web, if you've never heard of them, if you want to take a look at your competitors, that's a good one to use. And again, guys, these are I'm trying to keep it easy for you to find. So there might be some super tools out there that can help you do deeper research. If that's what you want to use, go for it. Don't just use what I'm sharing. And because I have no links to anything that I'm sharing. I'm not promoting any of them. I'm not affiliated with any of them. I'm telling you how this thing works. The last one is Statista. You can get actual statistical data, market research reports from them. So the idea is to go ahead and compile, surveys, stats, data, whatever you can find on the market to see either how your product or service would perform or how your competitors might already be performing. Because if you're looking to get into competition with somebody, if the data reads correctly and the research shows that they're not cutting it in the marketplace, it may be an opportunity to innovate and reintroduce your product or service and take a good portion of the market, or it may even be the red flag to say, stay out. You don't want to be in this particular market. Maybe go look at another one. Then you got to identify your target market. So that's step 2. You got to create your buyer personas. Some people, like I remember even attending an event where they said, well, you're going to be a business coach, so you don't have a persona per se. And I was like, okay, nice way to spray and pray, brother. You still, at the end of the day, need to really figure out who it is you want to work with. Who is it that you believe you will serve the best? That goes through all the different things, your demographics, your psychographics, your behaviors, your pain points. You got to know what's hurting and what their goals are. And again, you can get that through all of the market research that you do. But as you're going through your market research, you start building your personas to figure out that it's Bob or Lisa. They're between 35 to 45. They have an income of, whatever they are interested in. This helps you build also targeting for your audience when you decide to go into, should you decide to go into paid advertising. But even your content creation, you'll want to create content that's relevant to them and that's familiar to them, right? As an example, an e-commerce store targeting young professionals. Well, what are you going to put in there? What do they want? Who are they? Where do they play? Where do they work? Where do they hang out? Then it goes into number 3. You got to set some goals. The whole SMART thing, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. You got to make sure, just like increasing the website by traffic by like 20% within the next 6 months, which is a doable goal for most. And then step 4, which is basically checking out your competitors. Now, you kind of did that when you were doing market research, but now you're really going to go dig in on them and find out what's going on. You can use a SWOT analysis to figure out, where you stand as far as being able to compete with competitors. Now, there are some people that come in and go, I don't have any competitors. It's a completely new thing. There's nobody doing it. If that's the truth, awesome. Get your goals set and start getting ready to start pushing it out there. Somewhere along the line, though, if you're honest with yourself, there are alternatives to your product. And if your product doesn't specifically fit a marketplace that can produce for you or your business, I don't care how innovative it is. Some of the best kept secrets remain best kept secrets because they really didn't think about the fact that they could have been a better alternative to someone else. And they marketed it as, we're the only ones doing this. Some of them caught it in time and said, oh, you know what? We're actually a good alternative to this product over here. Maybe we should take a look at that. And they pivot, right? You want to plan these things out before you get to that point where you have to pivot. Because once you have to pivot, now you have to redo everything. And you possibly will have to reposture your branding and things of that nature. Number 5, you have to come up with a unique value proposition. People got to know why you are the brand that has their solution. Why you? What is the value of them doing business with you? You know, I have a UVP worksheet too. If you guys want one of those, it literally runs through. I think I have a copy of it here too. I printed out a lot of stuff last night, guys. I wanted to make sure that I got all this for you. Okay, so I actually have that's one of the worksheets that I have. It'll take you through defining your the importance of a UVP. Really is it's the whole reason that anybody would want to work with your brand, use your brand, purchase your product or service. A SaaS company with a unique advantage. We used to do a thing where it was like our service is a bolt on to other services. Like we would try to explain that to, the individual marketing guys that are solopreneurs and highly protective of their clients. It's like, we don't want your job. We're a bolt on, we make our income because we're able to do things with you and help enhance what you're already doing to make you more successful. Funny enough, I'll say 7 or 8 times out of 10, they weren't doing that much anyway. Our bolt-on wasn't going to help them. But something like that, you have something unique that your competitors don't offer. So you're either a bolt-on to what they already have, or you're an alternative solution. And that alternative solution saves them money, makes them money, drives more traffic, gets them better leads. Don't just get them more leads, guys. Get better leads. Whatever that product or service is. Sometimes it's analytics, identity resolution, what have you. Choosing market channels. Okay. This one's a big one because I see some companies just heavily investing in 1 or 2 channels to push everything, and they don't ever dabble in anything else. And this kind of drives me nuts, especially with tech companies. Just because you're a tech company doesn't mean that you shouldn't be out in other channels that are not online. There are other places that you can probably find some good traffic and some really good prospects that you can put into your CRM and work with, and then retarget digitally. Because there are still people out there that don't hang out on social media. They don't hang out on websites. They don't do much. They're out there working. And now it depends on your company, what they're doing. or they're so busy in digital that they don't have time to be looking on social media. They don't do it just because they can't. There's no room for it in their busy lives. So you need to be able to think of other channels. And I got a list of that too. If you want a list of those channels, please just send me a message. I'm happy to share that with you. There's everything from SEO, social media, email marketing, direct response marketing, programmatic. You have a whole bunch of things with like direct mail. Guys, I still get stuff in the mail. I know a lot of my friends that are marketers. We still get stuff in the mail, and we tear them open to look at them and go, I wonder how good this one is. Let's take a look. Some of them are okay. A lot of them, they need to work on it. But you want to find out what channels you would work best in, and then begin to design a content strategy around it. And that's step 7. I hold them to it's step 7, right? You want to be able to have a strategy. This is a lot of where I start coming in, looking at, okay, who's the creative director? Who's your influencers you're looking at working with? Who are the audiences that you're looking to work with? You need to figure out what kind of content they like. Right? Do they like to laugh? Do they like to have their heartstrings pulled? Do they like to have some feel good stuff? Do they like to get shocked every once in a while? You have to have an idea of content. Do they like to be informed? Do they like to just be chatted with? There's some people that go to the websites and they just jump on the chat and they'd rather have a conversation there. It's immediate enough for them to go ahead and engage. So what's the content there? Because that could be an AI chatbot, right? What are you gonna talk to them about? You need to develop a strategy. So that's everything from blogs, articles, what else? Videos, infographics, all those different things that you can come up with, but you need to come up with a strategy, something that everybody else can look at. Again, that blueprint for success, right? Here's the one that scares most people is step 8. That's budgeting. That's creating a marketing budget is a bit of a walk in how do I put this? Putting together a marketing budget is not easy because you have to really figure out, according to everything that you've already done, your market research and so on, what you think you're going to need in order to start gaining traction with the types of content that you're planning on putting out there. You have to allocate your resources smartly and effectively. I've seen way too often people just go, "Oh, I'll just throw a couple $100 on Facebook ads or Google ads, and we'll see what happens from there." And then nothing happens. And it's like, if you're going to run a marketing strategy, you got to plan on at least 90 days before you see any kind of real traction. If you really want to see some real traction, 6 months. 6 months. Why? Because it takes that long. Especially if you're unknown. If you're an unknown brand, you got to get in people's faces. You got to get in their heads. You got to be where they are. You've got to be at the top of mind. And that's what marketing is being at the top of mind with your brand that has that value proposition that somebody is appreciating. So much so that they're going, maybe I should check these guys out. Maybe they do have my solution. Makes sense? But even with a limited budget, you can be very effective. You have to plan it smartly. You have to figure out where you can get your greatest return on investment. Some guys are saying, well, it's all about ROAS. Okay. New term somebody came up with. To me, it's still ROI. ROAS, return on ad spend. We got you traffic. Yeah. Okay. Did you get me sales? What's my actual investment? If you're looking at it from the strategy side of things, you have to look at it all the way through. How much are we making back from what we're spending? I remember an article I read. I want to say it was Fast Company. I'm not sure. And it talked about, at the time, the one guy who was the most at risk for getting axed in a budget cut was the CMO. Because back then, and this wasn't that long ago, it was only about, this is 24, probably about 12 years ago, it wasn't that easy to prove your worth as a CMO running the strategy, running the marketing, stuff like that. I mean, yeah, you had analytics, you had data and stuff like that, but it wasn't as easy to go digging in as it is now. Now there's so many tools it's almost impossible to not prove when something is working or when it's not and why. So you can always focus on high return on investment activities. You can, even on a limited budget, you can still focus on high ROI activities. I've seen it done in SEO, which is one that takes a while. I've seen it done in ads. I've seen it done in programmatic. It really depends, again, on how well you've done your research and your planning. Step 9 is implementation and execution. I'm on tea this morning, not coffee. So there you have it. You got to take that strategy now and turn it into an actionable plan. Strategy, tactics, movement, actual movement. Time to get it going. Using project management tools like, I don't know, Asana, Trello, Monday, whatever works for you to be able to get things done. Depends on how deep in it. Some guys just use Slack, and work it through there. It depends on how intricate the strategy is that you're going to be implementing and at what stage you're at. You might do it in phases. You might just knock it all out at once, depending on what the product is. It might just be a strategy, guys. It might just be a strategy for one product that happens to be under an umbrella. Yeah. So strategies work. Just depends on what you're using it for. Then it goes back to monitoring and measuring. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're getting. You got to see what's going on. And there's a whole bunch of tools that you can use for monitoring and measuring, depending on what content channel you're in. Obviously, you can use Google Analytics for SEO, for traffic monitoring. There's a myriad of other measurement tools for online stuff. Offline's a little difficult If you're doing direct mail, it's kind of a manual process, the old Excel sheet or CRM, which you can also use. Salesforce has a whole bunch of things that you can integrate now, HubSpot as well. I remember when HubSpot was just a marketing platform. My gosh, that was years ago. Now they're just this big honking giant behemoth that does all kinds of amazing things. After that, you start gathering case studies. You start looking for the primo stories of people that used your product and succeeded with it, whatever that product or service is. Sometimes they'll come right to you and tell you, yeah, I'll be happy to. I was working with a small brand that's making its way into the States. I think they're still making their way into the States. I haven't heard anything lately, but when we were sampling out it was a brain fuel drink. Great stuff, works well. We were getting people coming back to us like with testimonials galore. They're like, I don't get the jitters. I don't fall asleep anymore. We had this one person who literally has chronic tiredness, and she had to drive to San Francisco, and that's dangerous for her. She had one of our drinks and made it in 8 hours, no problem, off of one drink, and it has less caffeine than in the whole can. I mean, like, there's hardly any. And the premise on it was proper nutrition for the brain. So they have a good product. They need to work on their branding a little bit. Two case studies that I need to share with you guys. If you guys remember the Dollar Shave Club, yeah, I had to write these up too. This was cool. Their market research identified a gap in the market for affordable, high-quality razors. There was either the disposables or the super high-end, right? So their target were young men looking for a shaving solution. Things were already getting expensive, right? Their goal was to achieve high brand awareness and acquire new customers. Their competitive analysis recognized traditional razor brands were overpriced and lacked a direct-to-consumer model. You had to go to the drugstore, you had to go to Walgreens or whatever to go get it, or to the supermarket. A lot of guys didn't really. It's not convenient, right? Some of the guys would sometimes you just forget, let their beard grow up. So their unique value proposition was high-quality razors delivered to your door for a monthly fee. When I saw that, I thought that was freaking ingenious. I said, these guys are going to go far, and they're going to go far fast. And boy, did they. They focused on digital marketing. I saw them all the time on social. A lot of video content and just mini pieces. Nothing really long, nothing really cumbersome, just for viewing, just real quick. Hey, Dollar Shave Club. And I think the longest one I ever saw was about, I want to say 30 seconds. And that's a freaking eternity to fill. And they nailed it. They did create a viral video that humorously highlighted the product's benefits. They allocated budget towards producing high quality video content and digital ads. That's where they stayed. That's where they played with what they had. And it blew up. They played it smart. They played it right. And it did them well. They stayed on tracking engagement metrics, customer acquisition costs, sales, et cetera, et cetera. So they continued doing that. That was a great example of guys that came out of nowhere, built it from scratch, and knocked it out of the park. One more. And I know you guys know this one, Airbnb. They also came from scratch. They did a lot of user-generated content and referrals. Oh, that honey is really good. I'll have to get more of it. They encouraged hosts to provide high-quality photos and detailed descriptions of their listings. It's part of the platform. Hello. But that not only improved the attractiveness of their listings, but also built trust amongst potential guests. The better the place looks, they literally taught Airbnb owners how to become staging professionals. It's literally what that is. Or they would hire a staging professional, either way. The referral program, they launched a referral program that both the referrer and the referee receive travel credits. So if I sent you that thing and said, hey, here, go sign up here, we both got a tick for that. That strategy really blew up their base because everybody loves to travel. People hate having to go to hotels sometimes, or a lot of times, because it's too expensive. But they like the feeling of being able to go someplace where they can go ahead and cook their own food, chill out, and have a home setting, if you will. Wow. They leveraged social media, a lot of it. They did localized campaigns to cater to different markets. So they really thought about where they were playing before sending in content. A lot of targeted ads, local partnerships, community building efforts, which I think they still do a good portion of. They used a lot of things like Instagram, Facebook to share their stories. Because stories sell, right? And that's what they did. They pushed it out through those two channels, got a ton of engagement, got a lot of user base, got a lot of content. I'm sure they probably still have it stored somewhere. And then they did a lot of collaborations and partnerships. Guys, this is these aren't super deep, huge Bible-sized strategies. You know, this is something where they sat down, they wrote it out, put it on some sheets of paper, took one solid look at it, and said, "Let's give this a run," and it ran. It ran well. Now, of course, they probably by now it's probably about that big because now they're both companies are quite successful. Um, but they leveraged for Airbnb. They leveraged the community. They leveraged trust, and in so doing, they built themselves one hell of a business. That includes all of the challenges that they've had to deal with. I'm live right now. I just wanted to see if there was anybody that had any questions. If there's anyone in the chat that wants to ask a question, I'm here for just a couple more minutes. I just realized it wasn't open, so my apologies. I'm about done here. If you guys do have questions, you can either post it underneath the live and I'll come out and I'll answer it there. You can send me a DM. Send me a direct message if you would like those worksheets. There's a ton of them to help you build up a viable strategy. And again, I'm glad I actually printed this out because I would have forgotten a couple of things on here. It's just what I do. So it was a nice little refresher for me as well. But feel free to reach out, ask questions. If you really need to sit down and go through a strategy or something like that, feel free to reach out there too. Once again, I'm Coffee with Mike, your fractional CMO. Thanks for hanging out with me on Monday Live, and I will catch you guys